Hey everyone, welcome back to the Mitt podcast, episode number 164. And in this episode, I'm going to be breaking down how to allocate and protect your energy. We all live in our own realities, which means even if we all lived the exact same day with the same experiences, the way that we would perceive that day would be completely different depending on the person. Now more than ever, with social media, with television, with streaming, with everything that we have with this iPhone that we all carry around, what happens is we are receiving more information as humans than we've ever experienced that we know in humanity. We are finding out so much breaking news, so many negative things, some positive, but it's almost brain overload. We just get information after information after information. The problem is we don't know how to process this because we were never designed to get this much information at once. I want you to think about, it might have been today, but the last time you were on social media and you just saw a lot of negative information, a lot of negative content, or maybe you watched a reality show that was just super toxic, and the rest of the day, you kind of just felt a little bit off. Kind of felt just kind of like your energy is dragging. You didn't feel as enthusiastic or at peace like you were maybe the day prior. And I want you, on the contrary, to think about the last time you went to a mountain or a beach or a forest, or even you just sat out by the pool and relaxed. And I want you to think about how calm, at peace, and centered and in the present you were after that moment. We have, generally speaking, a lot of options. Even if you have no money and you don't know what to do, you could still choose where to go and what to do and who to be around. And all of these small decisions are slowly changing not only our DNA, our mind, our perspective, our bodies, our health. I can go on and on. It is affecting everything. So we have to be more conscious than ever about protecting our energy. So one of the first things that we all want to focus on is what energy vampires, meaning what negative people, are we currently allowing in our life? This is something that is not a one-time fix. As you know, people come and go. You move, you start a new job, you hire new people. There's constant circulation of new people coming into your life and some people leaving. Well, this is part of life and people come and go. It is extremely important to regularly think about who is around you. What are their conversations like? How does your body feel when you're around them? Because if you're around negative people enough, you will start to think like them, talk like them, walk like them. In fact, if you look at someone enough, your brain has something called mirror neurons where your body, the muscles in your face mirror the person across from you. So you actually start to look like them. This is why married couples look like family almost after 30 to 40 years of marriage. Be careful who you have in your life. One of the things I want you to do right now, or maybe after this podcast, is open up either the notes in your phone, a ChatGPT thread, or maybe just take out a pen and paper. And I want you to write down every single person over the last 90 days that is draining your energy and isn't filling up your cup, so to say. They're stressing you out. The second you're around them, your body gets tense, you get stressed. That's the fastest way to know. When you go to a great environment or you're around great friends, you notice how your body and your nervous system relaxes. That's your body telling you this is a safe, positive person to be around. Protect your energy at all costs. So tally up all of those people and then put together a quick, let's say 2-week strategy on how you're going to either cut them off immediately or slowly pull away or come up with an exit strategy to get out of that relationship, stop working at that company, whatever you got to do, but remove that negativity from your life. Typically what happens after this decision is you get a surge of energy. Not that it is now coming to you and it wasn't coming to you before. Usually what it is you didn't even realize that you had these energy leaks that were going to such pointless and negative things that now you're concealing. You have all this potential energy that you can redirect into better relationships, your future, your goals, and just overall well-being. right? Number two, clean up your algorithm and your environment. I can always tell someone is stressed or in a chaotic point of their life when their home, their car, their office is a pigsty, when it's messy. One of my favorite movies is called Limitless. Bradley Cooper was the main character, and he took this pill that allowed him to access almost 100% of his brain. I think now it's like less than 10% humans use. And one of the first things that he did, the second or third thing he did, was clean his entire apartment. And so when you're in a messy space, it's a reflection of what's going on in your mind. But when you have order, when you have a clean environment, when your clothes are folded, your bed is made, your floors are clean, it's a reflection of your mind. It's a reflection that you are in a clean environment, which produces positivity and prosperity. Second is to look at your algorithm. Now that is probably, out of everything that we could look at, the best reflection of what is going on in your mind. Now, I'm not saying to be boring and not watch funny reels. I love watching funny reels and just sitting there laughing like a crazy person. But a lot of the content that's out there today is set up and designed to spike our cortisol. I joke with my friends all the time. I could go viral at any moment. All I have to do is say some crazy stuff, something that's controversial. The problem with that is it spikes your cortisol so much. Next thing you know, you're commenting on it, or even it just penetrates your energy. And if you, for example, I made a reel this past week. There's been so much content about bashing men or bashing women equally. That goes in waves, but both getting bashed. And I see it all the time, and people send me reels talking about how all women do this, and they're cheaters, and they're liars, and they're this, and they're that. And are there some not so great women and men out there? Of course. But I can tell you, there are so many incredible men and women out there, from friendship level, relationship, work-wise. And if all we're consuming is that the opposite sex is a horrible person, your brain is going to eventually not only starting to believe it, but it's going to repel the good people and cause negative, toxic, and horrible people to continually enter your life. And you're going to start seeing the world through that negative lens. It's the same thing I see people on threads all the time. All they do is talk bad about anyone who's had any sort of success. America used to celebrate pioneers in business and sports and music that bet on themselves. It was called the American dream. But now there's so many people that have turned billionaire or millionaire into a derogatory term, which in result trains their brain, their subconscious, that anything associated with wealth or money is bad. And since our brains are simply designed to protect ourselves, which is why we stress, if we don't have anything to stress about, our brain will come up with something because it's trying to protect ourselves. But if all we do is talk bad about wealth, our brain associates that with negativity. So then it goes, okay, we need to do everything in our power to sabotage our life to make sure we never become successful. Because you have trained your brain, these people in this instance, that wealth is associated with negativity, with sadness. And having lack is associated with something that's good. This happens quicker than you can imagine. This is why if you ever want to become more athletic or more fit, and you start working out with people that are so much more fit and healthy than you, yes, it's an ego check. You feel it. Is it difficult? Of course. But what ends up happening is you start to become so fit and athletic because the standard has been raised. You're around winners who operate regardless of their feelings because they're disciplined and they're focused. The same thing happens with our finances and our relationships. I see it all the time. I can't remember the exact study, but there was something along the lines of, if there's a group of 5 people and 1 or 2 of them start going through a divorce, the chance that the other members of the group start having relationship issues and potentially a divorce more than triple, because that's what their brain is consuming. Now, I have a married couple friend that has a great marriage. They've been married, I think, for 30 years now. And they started fighting. And they've never fought their entire relationship. And after a couple of weeks ago, what is this? Like, why is this happening? Who are we around? What have we been watching? And when they finally looked through everything, they realized they started watching trash reality TV where there was tons of toxic energy between the relationships. And that energy, even though it was on a TV set, it transferred to them and entered into their relationship. Think about this. We can actually design, yes, design a perfect world to where all you see, think about it. We could cut off CNN, Fox, MSNBC. We can change our algorithm. You just got to press not interested, to where all you see is your dream life, the destinations you want to travel to, happy couples in relationships, success in business, motivation, positive affirmations, healthy, fit people, where you cannot even witness or even consume any sort of negativity. Not because it doesn't exist, but because you literally blocked it from ever entering your brain. Our subconscious is so powerful, which is why a lot of times when we listen to maybe a podcast, a positive YouTube video, or even you just go to the beach or the mountains where it rejuvenates your energy, for the next couple hours or even the next couple days, everything starts flowing. You have better relationships, you make better decisions, deals start following through, opportunities start presenting themselves. Why is this the case? Because that positive energy and information started going into your brain. Guys, we have to protect ourselves more than ever, or the world will chew you up and spit you out, and you'll become bitter, resentful, and not accomplish what you want. Okay, number 4 is to get extremely clear about what you want in life. Now, even if you don't know the exact job and the exact blueprint, we almost never know everything to a T. But if we at least know what type of lifestyle and who you have to become to accomplish what you want, and you get very clear about what that person consumes, what environments that person is in, what people that version of yourself surrounds itself with, eventually, not only are you going to get even clearer about the exact target that you want, but you're going to start focusing on the people, environments, and actions you have to take to become this dream version of yourself. And if you've already done those first 3 steps I just went through that are very simplistic, later than not, you're going to become this person and start accomplishing these things. I had this mentor of mine. It was the second job I ever got. I've had 3 jobs in my life before I became an entrepreneur. And his name was Sebastian. And he said, Grant, if you want to become a business owner, don't wait for 3 years or 10 years or 20 years. He said, act, walk, talk, dress, read, communicate like you already are a business person today. And the energy in the world will catch up. Because if you are that person, then creating it becomes very simple. You know, if you know how to ride a bike, even if you haven't rode a bike in 3 years, you get on it and you just ride it. You don't celebrate. You don't pop champagne because you rode a bicycle. That's just something you know how to do. So if you know how to run a business, even if you stopped, you could start running one and you're just going to do it like you're riding a bike. The same thing is if you want to make $10 million. Do everything someone that makes $10 million would do. What would they read? What would they know? What were their skill sets? Who are they friends with? Where do they live? And just live it. Not in a month, not in 3 years, not when you finish your degree or you get promoted or your business is at this certain level. Just do it now, because that is a specific energy. And if you reach that character profile, the world's going to respond to who you are. And you are who you are, not because of what you have, but what you possess internally, your energy, your spirit, who you are. And so we have to really get extremely detailed about this, because we all have certain friends that are great people and they mean well, but they're not good for us. And, sometimes, if you can't get rid of them, you can love them from a distance. But if you keep allowing them into your life, it not only will affect you, but it'll affect every single person that you're going to impact, including your family, future spouses, you name it. And they will drag you down with them. Have to protect ourselves. right? The last thing I want to cover when we talk about focus is finding out, I like to kind of use the metaphor is what is your thumb screw? Okay, what is the one part of the entire engine that makes everything else go? That, yes, you can improve all of these other pieces of your life, 2%, 3%, 5%. But by focusing on this one thing, you could double, triple, quadruple, even 1,000x your life. Because there's almost always something to focus on. I'm going to give you a couple examples of some entrepreneurs I work with closely and I've built like really great relationships with. One is someone that runs a private equity firm. And he's built this massive company now, and it's super successful, and he's doing all these acquisitions, and it's growing like crazy. But when I first started meeting with him, he was just worn out. He was doing everything. He was fixing this problem at this location, and this hiring problem. And what we did is we identified everything that he does on a weekly basis and totaled the hours. And we realized that he was spending 30 to 40 hours a week on operations that, yes, needed to be done to get the business to run, but wasn't going to 2, 3, 4x his business. And so what we looked at, I said, okay, I'm going to call him Johnny, because I don't want to reveal his name. I said, Johnny, tell me if I'm wrong, but your superpower is people, deal making, and raising capital. And I'm not a complete expert at what you do by any means, but I do know that it sounds like those three things have the ability to 3 or 4x your business if you focus on it. And yes, if you improve operations and all that stuff and you do it instead of everyone else, could it be 3% better? Yes. But is it going to double your business? No. And he goes, you're right. And I go, so let's total up everything that you do that you don't like. And over the next 60 days, let's either delegate it to your team, hire a new person, or find a way to automate it. So we started doing this. And over 90 to about 120 days, by the time it was really rolling, we did this exercise not only with him, but his executives and his management level. And the company got so much more efficient. His body felt better. His life was better. His business was more efficient. And I just talked to him. He just took off a couple weeks to spend time with his family. And he goes, Grant, the team is killing it. But you want to hear something even crazier? I'm in the middle of, in escrow, massive deals that could almost double the entire company. Think about this. While he's off for 2 weeks and can't do anything but just close deals, raise capital, and push through an acquisition, he could double a multi-$100 million revenue business. So think about it. What you focus on is going to change your life. I saw this when I built my first business, is everyone was telling me I needed all this tech stack and all this complicated stuff. But when I looked at everything from like a 3rd grade, 5th grade point of view, I'm like, oh, we just have to double ad spend and double sales. And it doubled the business. So I want you to dive in after this podcast, or maybe the ideas already pop into your mind. Just ask yourself this simple question. What could I focus on and spend 80% of my energy on that would alter the course of my life and business? For everyone, this is something different. It could be you losing a bunch of weight. It could be you raising capital. It could be you hiring one person that supercharges your business. It could be leaving your job and going to start a business in a similar industry that you know everyone in. And by just doing that, you could 5x your income. There's someone I worked with, his name was Santiago. And he came to me and he was so stressed because he had so much to do. He said he'd wake up at 7, he'd get home at 9. He couldn't even see his wife. And he's like, Grant, brother, how do I delegate better? And I said, well, tell me more about, how much you make per deal, what your day-to-day is. So he starts telling it to me. And I'm listening to him and he tells me how much he makes per deal in roofing. And I said, Santiago, why would I teach you how to delegate when you don't have employees when I could just teach you how to, 5 to 8x your income for every deal? And he's like, what? How could you do that? And I said, brother, I know people in roofing. I know what the margins are. If you're making $800 to $1,200 per deal, why not make $5,000 to $10,000 per deal? Let's just start a roofing company. And this same guy went from hustling 7 days a week, can't see his wife, making decent money, to his business going to revenue almost 12 million in sales this year. What happened? He could have focused on saving an extra hour to spend time with his wife. He could have hired some VA to make the calls for him so he didn't have to make it. Yeah, his income would have gone from $20,000 a month to $24,000, and maybe he would have had an extra 5 hours. But what the hell would that have done? He would have still been drained and tired right now. So what happened? We said, screw delegation. We don't need to talk about that. Let's just 6 or 7x your income and start a damn business, because you're going to work hard regardless. Why not do it at such a rate that it alters your life and also alters the life of people that work with you? He did it. It did not take long. 4 months later, he had multiplied his income. And now, like I said, a year later, he's on track to do 8 figures in revenue as a first-time business owner. Guys, what you focus on is everything. And this is why, earlier on in the episode, I talk about the importance of removing the energy vampires and the negativity. I say this all the time because I experience it firsthand, and I want you to do the same. When you remove things that drain your energy, you will realize that you are so much more capable and smarter than you could ever imagine. You just didn't have access to that energy because you were spending it on BS, on negativity, on gossiping, on losing. But when you only focus it to nourishing your body, investing in incredible relationships, great environments, going after big things, helping people, it sounds simple, but no one does it. You don't have to be stressed and miserable. You don't have to pinch pennies and stress about money. You can do anything you want. And I'm not saying this to be motivational. I'm telling you this as a realistic perspective. You have to bet on yourself, and you have to make difficult decisions. And if you don't have the guts to cut off the wrong people and leave the wrong environments, then you just flat out won't get what you want in life, and you don't deserve it because you won't be able to handle it. You have to be willing to make difficult decisions, bet on yourself, and if you do, your life will change for the better. So hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. If you did, share it with a friend, post on your story, and leave a review below. Also, if you guys are watching this from YouTube, comment the hype. There's a hype button that pushes it out to the algorithm. But most importantly, guys, have an incredible week. I'm always rooting for you guys. Hope to see you guys again for episode 165. Thank you, guys. Cheers.